is Will. Welcome to my channel. This is my 1984 Corvette. This is more about the FiTech part of it. So pretty much here we are. It's running. She's not making that nasty vacuumy kind of sound as the last video. Got the IAC all tuned up and the idle down to about 700 RPM or so, give or take, right about now. Pretty much she's getting there. There's still a couple of little minor issues I got to work with. One being is that this I have to replace this nut. As you can tell, it's hitting the hood. So between having a new flat base, it's just too high. So I just got a low profile one. Hopefully that, you know, 1/4 of an inch or, you know, like 3/4 of a centimeter, depending where you're from, will be enough to reach. I think it should be fine. As you can hear, she sounds amazing. I got the exhaust done on it now, so it's got some nice little grumble. Yeah, so let's kind of just go over what I've done here. So pretty much hooked up the vacuum lines. Everything that was basically stock is stock. I've tied the FiTech into the tack and into the wire for its always on white wire. Fuel pump's running to the backs. It's not through the fuel relay. There's the red wire from the battery direct. None of this is final. I'm going to install a fuse box right in here where the cruise control used to be. Kind of where I left it out. Kind of got everything run over here. This is a nice kind of empty spot for it to go, and definitely clean it up a bit. Pretty much. So since this car was already fuel injected, it only had a single O2 to begin with, so I just installed the O2 sensor for the FiTech in the stock location. Coolant sensor I decided to use where the original fan was, over on the passenger side of the block, over down here. And I have the FiTech controlling the fan, which is now spinning now, as you can see. So it's triggered on the ground as a switch. But yeah, that's pretty straightforward. It was a fairly easy swap. I got the Edelbrock Torquer 2 intake for height clearance. As you can see, I'm battling it still. It's a 14x2 air filter with a flat face K&N base. Kind of see there. Alrighty, so now I have her off. So pretty much what I've done with the fuel system is I kept the factory lines, the metal lines, where I could. I replaced the rubber lines and clamps with high pressure fuel line and, you know, high pressure clamps, and I'm using a Chemso 340 liter per hour fuel pump into the stock extending unit that I also replaced. Another thing is that I kept the stock ECM installed, so all the gauge clusters and the whole gauge cluster works as factory. Even getting numbers on the fuel and the fuel mileage, you know, miles per gallon and how many liters per 100 kilometer or miles per gallon, you know what I mean, the setting, and, you know, roughly how many kilometers or miles you have left. They are still outputting numbers. Again, I don't know how it's doing it, considering that I have a big over on this side bunch of wires left over from the crossfire injection is kind of tucked away over here for now, in case I decide to revert back to stock, although I don't imagine why anybody would want to. But they're still there. I haven't decided if I want to cut them and depin them from the ECU and go through all that hassle. It's not definitely something I'm interested in doing right away. maybe down the road I might make it look a little cleaner and do that. But yeah, so all the gauge clusters work, everything all works. All the original sensors working. Timing, like I said, is controlled through the ECM, through the stock distributor. So I didn't lose electronic timing when switching to the FiTech, which is kind of nice. And like I said, so far it's been working pretty well. I'll keep you updated on that front in case I do still have a mechanical advance distributor with also a vacuum advance like the old school, in case I needed it. So far it seems to be running great without it, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, so everything works as it should. Even the check engine light comes off once the car is running, so just like factory. So now I also should mention too, I did delete the air pump. Not sure if you could get it to work with the Torquer 2 intake, because I did actually have to modify the bracket a little bit to line up with the FiTech mount down over here. I don't know if I can really get in there, but as you can see, the hole is definitely a little bit elongated. So all these lines, from my understanding, they are a one-way gate, so they're not going to affect anything in the cats, other than just no air is going to go through them. So it kind of gives you that little bit more of the old school kind of muscle car kind of aroma when she's running, but there's no emissions test here for passenger cars, period. And even when there was, anything from 87 and older was exempt, so this car has never had to go through an e-test. That's all I can think of on that front. So any questions, obviously you can give me a shout out on the forum. I'll do my best to answer, or comment below. Anyways, give you one more rev just to kind of why not? Anyways, that is it for this update. Stay tuned for future ones.